Very good morning, dear students. As we promised to give you the brief story of Kanthapura, the novel written by Raja Rao in our previous lecture. You know very well that in previous lecture we discussed about the birth, about the patronage, about the life and the chief works of Raja Rao. You know very well, Raja Rao is an Indian writer. Indian, but who wrote in Western countries. Basically, he wrote his writings in France. He also went to America and was very much impressed by the culture of America, about the industrious nature of Americans. We know also very well that the novel Kanthapura is written in 1938, and this novel is in fact a vivid picture and depiction of Gandhian movement against British, Gandhian movement of independence. Rajarao was very much influenced by the spiritual philosophy of India. In fact, he wanted to become a sannyasi, as we discussed in our previous lecture, that he went to Banaras and there he wanted to become a sannyasi. But eventually he couldn't, and he went back again to foreign, that is abroad in France and America. But here in India, at that time, the national movement for freedom was at war foot, at in current, and Rajarao was very much influenced by Gandhi. Gandhi's movement, non-cooperation movement, salt movement, etc. And this novel, in fact, depicts those conditions, those events, and those struggle that was done by the Indians, by the people of India in the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. So, dear students, as you know me very well, I am Gupta, Associate Professor in SSG Government College, Banswara. So today we shall discuss the brief story of this novel Kanthapura written by Raja Rao. Then we will discuss in our further lectures the detailed story and analysis of the novel chapter wise. What is there in every chapter? And then later on we will discuss some questions as well. So we know that Rajarao has not written so many novels. His literary output is meager, and he wanted to attain perfection. Therefore, he writes slowly and revises it frequently. That is, he wanted to attain perfection. Though his works are very little, but they are perfect. Moreover, his philosophical and religious interest leave him little time for literature. He has written only 3 novels. besides a number of short stories and essays and sketches. So when we go with the story of Kanthapura, that it is the first novel of Raja Rao written in 1938 and in France. Though it was written in France, yet it gives a vivid graphic picture, realistic picture of Gandhian freedom struggle in 1930s, that is non-cooperation movement, and its effect on people of India. So in this novel we have absolutely about Gandhi's struggle for the national movement. And the place of the location of this novel is the village Kanthapura. This is a typical Indian village on the slopes of western Ghats of India, of South India. And who is the central figure in this novel? You know, the central figure in this novel is Murti. Murti is the main hero of this novel. He is young man, educated, and he is the man of Gandhi. He is trustworthy of Gandhi. He was very much influenced by Gandhi's philosophy. So Gandhi's civil disobedience that was in 1930, taking the salt, we also call it salt movement, that is in the leadership of Gandhi, the people quitted the foreign salt and they started making the salt themselves. So this was the movement, and this civil movement comes to the remote village, and this remote village is Kanthapura. The effect of this movement can be seen very much on this village. Murti, who is the man of that village, who lives in that village, he comes from the city with the message of Mahatma Gandhi that the struggle for independence, that everyone should join the movement of the struggle, the movement of civil disobedience held by Mahatma Gandhi. He asks the people of that village to take charkha, because charkha was the main, uh, we can say, a main kind of the part of the movement of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi introduced charkha, and charkha symbolizes the nation. Charkha symbolizes the, we can say, जिसको अपन कह सकते हैं कि अपना, on, it symbolizes on, that is Swadeshi. It symbolizes the Swadeshi. You have to weave your clothes yourselves. You have to boycott the foreign dresses and clothes. So it is a symbol of Swadeshi. Therefore, a Congress committee in that village in Kanthapura was formed to lead or to follow the movement. Publicity material was brought from the city and then it was circulated everyone in the village. A group of volunteers was also from there, which was educated, and they were directed not to go violent. That is, they have to remain completely non-violent, even before the government tortures. So this was a strict direction from the Congress committee National Congress Committee or from Mahatma Gandhi that none has to be violent in any condition. There was also a young girl, young lady. She was very progressive, she was very educated, whose name was Ratna. She also supported Murti in this movement. He helps Murti. There is also another character in this novel whose name is Patel Range Govda. He was the chief of the village, and this Patel Range Govda also helps Murti. He is also with Murti in this venture. On the other hand, the British government on her part takes prompt action to suppress and freeze the Gandhian movement. So what we have up to now is that this village is very much impressed by the Gandhian movement. And Murti is the leader and the follower of Gandhi. And he leads this movement in that village. There are another people in the village, other people in the village who also support him, like Patel and like Ratna, etc. But the British government was very much determined to suppress this movement. बिल्कुल कुचलना चाहती थी जो ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट है इस मूवमेंट को. तो वहाँ there was a policeman whose name was Bade Khan, and he was appointed in that village to keep the watch on the villagers, what they do and what are their activities, and and just to give the information about that movement to the police or to the higher authorities. There was also a Brahmin, Bhatt, whose name was Bhatt, and he was the supporter of the policeman. He used to give the information to this Bade Khan to policeman. And this Bhatt used to get support from a Swami in the city. And this Swami held a powerful and religious authority there. And he has much influence on the ignorant village people of the religion. He threatens them to expel from Hindu religion anyone who is associated with the low caste people as pariyas. So in this moment, what we see or what we will see, that there is also caste discrimination, and the lower caste people like pariyas, they are supporting Gandhi. They are supporting Gandhi in this movement, whereas the upper class people, they don't support, and they also hate those who support Gandhi in this movement. Therefore, Murti, who used to love these pariya people, who used to go with these people and sit with them, eat with them, was expelled by this Swami from the society. On the whole, the people, therefore, so that the people can be fear. But even then, these people were not afraid of that, and they were in the support of Murti and the Gandhian movement. So the report about the Dandi March that we know very well of the salt movement, Mahatma Gandhi movement to break the salt law that was imposed by British government, and the enthusiasm that was there all over India reached Kanthapura, and it did a lot to invoke the people, to raise the people, to teach the people, to guide the people. They became ready to break the salt law. They became ready to follow the principles of Gandhi. And therefore, in that village, Kanthapura, Satyagraha movement took the place, and all the villagers except few joined Murti Murti's leadership, and therefore a lathi charge was there in order to suppress the movement, and many villagers wounded and hurt seriously in that lathi charge. Many were arrested and sent to jail. Murti was also arrested and sent to jail. Government was very much ruthless, and none was spared. The suffering of the fellow villagers moved the hearts of the workers of the coffee state, and they also joined. There is also a coffee state. Although the coffee state belongs to a rich man and who supported British, who supported English people or the government, but the workers who were working in the coffee state, the laborers, they came out and they supported Murti. They joined the movement. So this was the power of this movement, that the lower caste people, workers, laborers, they were joining the movement and making it success. So the atmosphere resounds with the shout of Mahatma Gandhi ki jai. So in this moment, Mahatma Gandhi ki jai, the slogan was taken by the villagers, and everywhere they resounded this slogan. More people, including Murti, are arrested and sent to jail for a long time. So in his absence, in absence of Murti, Ratna took over the charge of the Congress in that village and working of the Congress. She organized women and also trained them how to protest. Then the villagers were also directed not to pay revenues, taxes, and they should not surrender before the unjust or injustice done by British government. So in this way, there is also a greater role of Ratna, the lady who also loved Murti, although they never expressed their affairs, but there was a love, we can say a fire of love in the deep of both the hearts. So they were also asked to remain silent, non-violent, but since it was the protest, it was the movement, the silence didn't work and the violence broke out. And therefore, there were the ruthless lathi charges. Even the shotguns was also done by English people or the British officials. The whole atmosphere was filled with shrieks, cries, but they all were shouting Mahatma Gandhi ki jai, Mahatma Gandhi ki jai. Although they were beaten, although they were shot, even then they all were shouting Mahatma Gandhi ki jai. So in the beginning, the villagers show a bold resistance, but then in the end, they were forced to flee. They had to run away from that place. And they were broken. They were compelled to leave Kanthapura, and they took the shelter in a remote village. So they had to left. So see how they struggled for the independence. A village, how it faced, how it protested against the British, although they had to leave the village because of the cruelty done against them by British government. They are defeated, but there was a victory in their defeat. And due to the shocks given by them to British government, because they also gave a great shock to British government, and therefore the British government began to shake, and the result was that we got freedom in 1947. So this is how we see the heroic struggle of the people of Kanthapura, and that is a milestone in India's march towards independence. So, in this way, uh, dear students, uh, we see this novel that is filled with the national independence movement, and there is a complete detailed story of this movement that has been depicted, portrayed by the writer, by the author Raja Rao, who himself was very much influenced by the principles of Gandhi. And this is why that this novel was awarded Sahitya Nobel award, and this is why this novel is recognized as the novel of national movement. So this was the brief story of this novel from my side, dear students, and you know that we will discuss this story chapter wise in our further lectures. Till then, thank you very much. See you. Bye bye.